one of the criticisms I get all of the time from people is that they consider me to be a pop cultural elitist. You know, when it comes to popular entertainment, I'm one of those guys where I tend to really despise whatever's, really popular and has a lot of mainstream appeal, especially things that are especially heavily commercialized and commodified. And I've been particularly hard on certain genres. The whole, comic book thing, superhero thing, been there a million times. The sci-fi, event films, Star Wars, all those. I've gone on record many times, expressing my displeasure with those kinds of movies. And a lot of you kind of chimed in saying, why do you hate everything that's mainstream? Why are you always, touting these really bizarre foreign films nobody's ever heard of, like Love and, A Look of Silence? These really documentaries, these very, sort of outside the mainstream, really sort of stilted and subdued films. Not that explains why I like them to begin with, but that's an aside. Well, anyway, just to prove once and for all that I'm not completely out of touch with mainstream, culture, I want to talk today about a film that's not only A, mainstream, B, very popular, but C, actually a comic movie that not only do I think is not bad, I actually think is actually really great, and it's one of the best movies I saw all last year. Now, I didn't actually see it last year. I saw it this year, but I'm just not getting around to it because there's always like a 1 year delay with me. Well, anyway, the name of the film is Kingsman, which is just absolutely just fantastic. It's based on a Mark Millar comic. He's a pretty controversial guy. And the thing is, this film is really such a great I'm trying to figure out what, it's not really a satire. It's not really a deconstruction either. It's like this weird sort of genre between where it's certainly making fun of a lot of the genre convention of the spy movie, but at the same time, it really goes out on its own and is making, a pretty solid, point on its own merits. Uh-oh, got a cop. Okay, well, he's out of the way. Good. We can go back and talk about Kingsman. Ooh, that was spooky. What was that about? All I did was like pull ahead. Okay, well, never mind. Let's talk about a cop here. But anyway, going back to Kingsman, it's not really a deconstruction, not really a satire. I mean, it's just kind of a film that is, I don't know, it's just kind of playing upon the tropes we've seen. So, I mean, it's very unique. It's very character-driven, but it's not a film that's completely reliant on being a parody to get across. And this comes out on its own, and it's very well done, a very immensely enjoyable film, great acting, and, it's one of those films where it follows the old Joe Bob Briggs drive-in dynamic. Anyone can die at any moment. So the Eric Hitter's movie thing are going to be like, 10-pole figures going to be in the next 3 or 4 sequels who, die. And I mean early on in the movie, like within the first, act of the film, they're dead. So you never really know what who's going to do. It makes you feel like, the main characters can just get, killed off any time. So it's definitely unique there. It has a certain edge to it that there isn't a sense of safety, let's put it that way. Like you see in all these other superheroes where Batman's not going to die, nothing bad's going to happen to Captain America, they get shot a million times, they're going to be okay. Not so much in this one. It's played about as down to earth as we're going to get. And I absolutely love the plotline. So there's this kid, he's your standard child over there in the UK. His mom getting beat up by her boyfriend. He's out stealing cars. Well, as it turns out, his dad's actually part of this secret, MI6, CIA, secret agent type deal. And he ends up being recruited eventually. And once he's recruited, I'm not going to talk about how, because it kind of spoils the movie. But eventually, the guy gets recruited, and he goes through basic training. And eventually, what ends up getting to the big bad in the film is played by Samuel L. Jackson. And basically, he's sort of like this Mark Zuckerberg, multi-trillionaire. I don't know how to describe the guy. Sorry, there's like 45 cops over there. It's great. Not a single. Okay, I'm not gonna go there. I was gonna make a really bad politically incorrect joke. I'm not going to. But anyway, so he gets recruited, and Samuel L. Jackson is a bad guy, and he's like this really great pastiche of Mark Zuckerberg, where he's like a multi-trillionaire, like, you know, Silicon Valley guy, and his big scheme is brilliant. It's where he's gonna like basically give these like these SIM card implants to people so they'll have free internet and phone calls for the rest of their lives. And of course, you know, basic, you know, spy movie convention. If you've ever seen the third Halloween movie, you know what happens. You put on the special mask, a frequency goes out, and then your head explodes. Well, heads explode aplenty in this film, and it's really brilliant. I mean, granted, the idea is kind of ripped off from the Stephen King novel called Cell, where basically like this weird EMP pulse goes out and everybody goes crazy. But you know what? I'll take it. You know, it's very well done. It's an extraordinarily violent movie. You know, I was actually kind of shocked by just, you know, how much carnage was allowed in this film. So, I mean, obviously, you know, if it was a tentpole, like, licensed film that everybody knew, like, they never let Spider-Man or Captain America get this violent. But as it is, I mean, it's just very, very well acted. You got Michael Caine in there. You've got, I don't really know who the guy who plays Eggsy is, but he's really great. The name of the other guy, the other spy, well, they're all British, but the other guy, the guy who actually trains Eggsy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's great. You got Samuel L. Jackson, his guard is like this one chick who has like razors on her legs, like Oscar Pistorius. And also like Oscar Pistorius, she kills a whole bunch of people. I mean, it's just very, very well done, super creative. Great stuff going on here. Blood and guts everywhere. There's this one scene where they go basically into, you know, the Westboro Baptist Church, and that's where they do like a test run for the SIM card implant that drives everybody crazy. Oh, another thing that's great about, okay, I'll get back to that in a minute, but we'll talk about the Baptist Church scene. Well, they're talking about how much they hate gays and blacks, and then like the pulse goes off and they go crazy, and it's just like 8 non-stop minutes of absolute carnage with no redeeming social qualities whatsoever. They start playing Freebird, people are stabbed, people are literally beaten to death with Bibles. I mean, it's just like a social justice warrior's dream come true. That is reason enough to watch this movie. And going back to it, another thing is, but here's the thing that I think really puts this movie over the top. Okay, it's really well done, it's fun, it's got a great plot, it's super violent, the acting is phenomenal, it doesn't fall into the usual genre conventions. All that, very, very well done. It's funny, it's bloody. I mean, anybody can die at any moment, so you're always on edge. Here's the thing. The film also has this weird, like completely out of the blue, kind of like pro-conservative message, kind of. And I know that sounds weird, but here's what's happening. Is the big bad, Samuel L. Jackson's movie, his entire shtick is he's actually like a hardcore, like a pro-climate change guy, where he is so sick of the UN not doing anything that basically decides to invent the SIM cards to implant in people so that they'll blow up and they'll stop polluting the earth. That's the plot line. I mean, we would have ever thought that would have gotten made. And if that's not enough, watch carefully. There is a scene towards the end of the movie where Barack Obama's head explodes. I mean, it's completely like just making fun of the entire like untouchable liberal dogma, and I didn't expect it. You'd never see that in Hollywood movies. I thought it was just absolutely just spectacular. So anyway, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's called Kingsman. It's on it's on Netflix. It's on HBO. It's on one of those. But yeah, check it out. This is a great movie. This is a great example of Hollywood filmmaking in the 21st century. You know, you got the big budget, you're going out there, you got the good actors, you got the special effects. Go out there and do something inventive, do something fun, do something against the grain, do something where you're not out there expected to make a gigantic franchise out of it. Just make an entertaining one-off film. I know it's kind of ironic because they are making a sequel to it, but it's great. It's a great genre movie, it's a great comic movie, it's just a great Hollywood movie all around. And if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? Go see it, it's great.